So tonight, in our Torah cycle, we are inside the last book of Torah, Devarim, Deuteronomy. And we've just begun Deuteronomy, and inside of it, there is a lot of talking from Moses, from Moshe. It's a book of Moshe speaking to the people on the edge of the wilderness. They've gone through the journey, and now they're on the edge of where they're going to go next. And Moshe, who wasn't sure about all of this at the beginning, wasn't sure about communicating, wasn't sure about a lot of things, now has a lot to say. And so here there are instructions, there are important information he wants you to know. The people who are gathered are not the generation who went through the epic first parts of the journey. So they are hearing the story now, story that they didn't live through, but their parents and grandparents lived through. And Moshe, so badly wants to give instructions and retell stories so they know what happened, so that they'll remember this, because Moses is not going with them. So here in Devarim 6, towards the beginning of this parsha, he says, these are the instructions, hukim umishpatim, laws and rules that Adonai has told me, has commanded to me to tell you, so that you can remember all of these things as you're about to cross over. Here are these things. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Listen, people, God is our God. That's the context of this. This is Moshe telling us, listen, everybody, God is our God, God is one. And the next verse says, Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol meyodecha. Does that sound familiar? We just chanted it. This is right here. One of my kids said repeatedly, Mom, 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 do you mean to tell me that somebody gets us the Torah portion for their B'nai Mitzvah? The Ve'ahavta? Like they already know it. That's amazing. Yes, somebody does. If you're clocking that summertime and you want to do it, this is it. The Ve'ahavta is right here. Ve'ahavta. You will love. The verb of loving, of ahava. You will love. The action of loving. And this section, our ancients lifted up and put into our daily prayer so that we would say this. And they looked at it in the Shema and the Ve'ahavta, and they decided, okay, we come out with love, let's go in with love. So they wrote this prayer, poem, Ahava Rabbah, Ahavat Olam. We also we're chanting that, we're singing along with that beautiful prayer. Ahavat Olam, always enduring, forever love. Ahava Rabbah, love in great abundance, abundant love. That's what we say, and then we say that Shema, listen people, and the Ve'ahavta. With the little kids, and some of the bigger kids, and with you who are kids, but you're in big bodies, we do this thing where we have them reach for all the ahava, all around them, behind them, above, inside, next to them, underneath. Because this abundant love, it is always there, this ahava. If you need it, please know. Be walking down the street, you know I do this. Oh, I want some love. It is always there, this kind of abundant, ever-flowing love, boundless love. Love without limit. And then we chant the Shema, and then the Ve'ahavta. You shall love, you will love. Boundless love, and then do the loving. Ahava is a midah. It's one of our deepest values in the Jewish tradition. The midot, our deepest values, our soul traits. Here at Nefesh, we say we are a midot-driven community. I told you earlier, we are 7 weeks on this journey to Rosh Hashanah, where together we will break into small groups, and we will choose a midah to focus on for the year. So it seems like a good time to be drawing out some of these midot in these next 7 weeks that you might want to sit with this year. You can also do other ones, but it will be like a foundation for your 5785. Getting into the mid-80s now. When we center our lives in Ahava, it puts us on the outside of the priorities of most of the prevailing culture around us, but it puts us right inside the dominant values of our tradition and of many spiritual traditions. All awakening to love is spiritual awakening, says Bell Hooks. All awakening to love is spiritual awakening. So what is this ahava? What are some aspects of it? All of the midot are boundless, are endless. They extend in all directions. But for tonight, for this time together, let's open up ahava. It is said so much, all the time, everywhere. Some of the other midot, they should be said more often. We don't hear them. But love, we hear a lot, in so many contexts. And we know in our tradition that love is active. It is not passive. It is something that we do as an act of will. As an act of will with intention. This is what the Ve'ahavta is telling us. Ahava. The fullness of love happens in all the aspects of our lives, all of our fourfold song, as we talk about it, Nefesh, self, beloved, communities, world. Erich Fromm, a psychologist, theorist, philosopher who was born in Germany to an Orthodox Jewish family, came to the States when the Nazis took control of Germany. And in the mid-20th century, he wrote a classic text on love called The Art of Loving. And in it, he lifted up the active intention in loving and says that love is care, responsibility, respect, and knowledge. That is the soup of love. Care, responsibility, respect, and knowledge. His defining feels very much inside of the tradition he was raised in. Loving is what love is. Loving is what love is. Active love. And that is what is inside the Ve'ahavta. And his defining became a foundation for so many, including the incredible work of Bell Hooks on All About Love. So in the Ve'ahavta, we are told to love God with all of our heart and all of our soul, our lev and our nefesh. And the question arises, how do you command somebody to love? And then it answers us in the Ve'ahavta by saying you take loving actions every day. You center your life in a love ethic that moves yourself towards action, towards yourself, towards others, towards your communities, towards the world. The Ve'ahavta continues. If you're wondering how to do this, you teach your children about this love ethic. We are loving, we can be loving in the world We talk about it when we're home and when we're on the derech, on the road. And when we lie down and when we wake up and we put it on our bodies, on our hands, between our eyes, we write it on our houses, these instructions to love the divine, to feel that love, to love each other, to love our communities, to love this world. Care, responsibility, and knowledge. We care for others and we nurture them as a part of love, for our loved ones, for our neighborhoods, for our earth. We're responsible. I care for you and I feel responsible for you. I hold you inside of me and I am beholden to you and you to me. It is a brit. And then there is knowledge. Amen. Knowledge. And it might have been the one where you're like, okay, yeah, care, responsibility, respect. Okay, knowledge? Yes, please, knowledge. One of the aspects of families that can be so painful is this lack of knowledge or a lack of desire for knowledge, to be fully seen and known. Many of us had parts of ourselves that we were told, some parts of you, but those other parts of you, I don't want knowledge of them. Put those parts away. Some parts of you will be seen, but not other parts of you. And that is what so many of us go through as a healing journey, to integrate the rejected parts of ourselves, to put them together into our very muchness. Unfortunately, we might continue this pattern with those we care about and those we create families with, where we're willing to see aspects of our partner or spouses or dear friends or children and other things. We say it or we imply it. We don't want to see that part. In Gan Eden, in the Garden of Eden, God calls out to Adam, Ayecha, where are you? Where are you? God, you made, like, this is your garden. When I always see that part, I'm always like, you know where Adam is? Adam's in the garden that you made. But it's a deeper question. It's Adam, where are you? Who are you? How do you want to be seen and known? And Adam answers, Hineni, I am here. And all throughout Torah, Abraham, Hineni, I am here. Moses says, Hineni, I am here, even when he's not sure he wants to be here. And yet now at the end of this journey through the wilderness, Moses does want to be seen. I have so much to say. I want you to hear me and know me before I leave this earth in this way, before I die. What are the parts of you that you're wanting to be seen and known? If you were to be called out, Ayeka, where are you? Who are you? What would your answer be right now? And if those in your life were being called out to, what would they want you to know and see? There was a social science study in the 90s by Arthur Aaron and others, and it had a hilarious name, The Experimental Generation of Interpersonal Closeness. Is there ever a more emotionally described scientific study? The experimental generation of interpersonal closeness. And this study was like, wow, what if we had people vulnerably talk to each other? Would that make them feel more close? Turns out it did. There were 36 questions in this interview process, and they used it in a lot of different arenas, with students starting new programs, with people of different political beliefs, and famously with people who wanted to fall in love. And it turns out that a key pattern associated with the development of a close relationship among peers is sustained, escalating, reciprocal personal self-disclosure. That's an amazing sentence. So, it turns out that when we ask each other and we really want to hear in a sustained way, you notice it wasn't 3 questions or 7 questions or 8, it was 36. We did this together at a retreat, Nefesh, member. We asked each other, we got into groups of 2 and asked each other these 36 questions. It was beautiful. And it turns out that it grew closeness. And it turns out that that's what we want to sustainably do all the time. We want to be growing as a community that wants to see and know each other, even when that's difficult. We've made a commitment to doing that, to being seen and known here. And they said what they found is that they defined closeness. Okay, how did they know they were successful? Including other in the self, an interconnectedness of self and other. That's how they knew people were close. I hold your heart in my heart, as E.E. Cummings tells us. This is responsibility, care, responsibility, knowledge. Care, responsibility, knowledge. This week, together with some of the people here, we were outside of a hotel in Beverly Hills, and we were listening to stories of workers, many of whom were parents. We all know that it is insane to try and get housing in Los Angeles. But the reality of that is that parents who work in the hotels have to live so many hours away to find housing that they can't actually go home to be with their kids at night. Or they do find housing in LA, but they have to work 2 shifts so that they can pay for the housing. And in both cases, they are not with their children. And to listen to the pain of parents who cannot be with their children because of the cost of housing. And we say, oh, it's so expensive to live here. But the very real reality is that you can't be with your children because of the cost of housing. So they're asking for raised wages for that and for a lot of other reasons to have dignity. And there in the street, we gathered, and I saw Nancy Berlin. And I have grew up around Nancy Berlin. She is an incredible human. It inspires me just to see her. And there she was in a moment where a lot of many police officers were walking on the street. And Nancy, in her sense of peaceful self, was at ease, comforting those around her. And I had this incredible, overwhelmed feeling of ahava, of love, of the love that she was pouring into herself to stay centered in a situation that was a little bit wonky at that moment. The love that she was expressing towards someone near her who was experiencing some stress. The love that she had for the workers, the love that she exhibits in so many ways. She was one of the people who helped to start Alexandria House. She does so much for the unhoused. She works in the Poor People's Campaign. And I thought to myself, I'm around Nancy all the time, but how much do I fully know her story? So in the process of working on this, I thought, I'm going to reach out to Nancy, and I did. And I said, Nancy, I've been around you for so many years of my life, but I don't know how you came to all of this. And she told me the story of her life and how she came to do what she does. And I said, one of the things that has always struck me is that you're always in these spaces that are being led by faith leaders. And I guess I don't know very much about your faith tradition. She said, oh, that's because I don't really have a clear faith tradition. And she told me about the diversity of the faith traditions of her childhood and how those were rejected because her parents didn't want anything to do with it. But now, in everything she does interfaith work. So I said, why is this? You're not a nun, like some of the folks who started Alexandria House, and yet you do this work around people of faith. She said, oh yeah, it is entirely intentional. I only do my work around people of faith. And this is a woman fully devoted to this work, to being of service. So I said, why? Would you be willing to share why? And she said, yes, of course, because I choose to do my work in spaces where we have shared values. Not always shared politics. Those are not necessarily the same thing, but shared values. To end tonight, I want to look just at that first line, ve'ahavta, to love, v'chol levavcha, u'v'chol nafshecha, v'chol meodecha, to love with your whole heart, your whole soul, and your meodecha. Meod also is very much. It gets translated as might, right? Love with all your heart, all your soul, and all your might. Love the divine with all your heart, your soul, and your might. But meod is very much, so I choose to translate it as with all your very muchness. Love with all your very muchness. Last week, we had Addie's bat mitzvah, and at the end, her dad pulled me aside and said, I just want to tell you that the whole time I was thinking about her whole very muchness, celebrating it as she was becoming bat mitzvah. There's a text in the Talmud in Brachot that tells us that we are obligated to recite a bracha for the bad that befalls someone and for the good. And how do we know this? It's because we have the verse, ve'ahavta, that we shall love with all of our heart, b'chol levavcha, because it turns out that there's two bets in there. So why two? And it says, because with all of ourself means the good parts of ourselves and the not good parts of ourselves, our yetzer hara and our yetzer tov. That's what it means to love with all of our hearts, with all of our soul, and with all of our very muchness. So friends, may all of your very muchness be fully known. May there be ahava rabbah, love in abundance. May you love with your very muchness. May you be known and want to know others in their very muchness. May we care. May we take responsibility for ourselves and for each other. May you love and be loved. Shabbat Shalom.
Do you want to go to the river? I know this spot so deep and green, with the wild raspberries and apple trees and rocks to climb between, water like a washing machine. Do you want to dance? Sometimes I think I try too hard. I trip on my shoes and I trip on my shirt, get caught on the dirt in the yard. Get caught on the dirt in the yard. You show me understanding, patience and pleasure, time and attention, love without measure, love without measure. You're cooking dinner, it's getting round 10:30. I haven't smelled food this good since I don't know where, and I don't know when. Where and I don't know. Stove light glows like a firework sitting on the kitchen floor. Just when I think I couldn't feel more, I feel a little more. I feel a little understanding, patience and pleasure, time and attention, say